Part 73. Adorable Baby, The Miracle Doctor is So Awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 721. The second prince, Gu Henne, is a disciple of Taoism and yearns for the road to immortality. In his opinion, being an emperor will only hinder his pursuit of the road. The third prince, Gu Kai, had a free and unrestrained temperament. He only loved beauty all his life and had little interest in managing the country. The fourth prince, Gu Ke, had been weak and sick since he was a child, and could not bear the burden of the throne. Moreover, he himself was indifferent. He preferred elegant activities such as playing chess, piano, poetry, and painting, rather than managing family and state affairs. Let's not talk about the fifth prince Gus yet. He is a master who wants to do business all over Tianyuan. He likes yellow and white things the most. If he becomes the emperor, he might not do his job and use power for personal gain but only focus on business. As for the sixth prince Gu Wei, he is a foodie and a royal fool. How can such a person be worthy of such a great job? The courtiers looked through all the princes and found that none of them was worthy of the important task. The key point is that they themselves have no intention of becoming emperors. This is a bit embarrassing. Seeing that the Gu family was about to lose its heir, a prince actually appeared out of thin air. It is Gu 11 who sees the opportunity to reveal his identity. At this time, everyone realized that the princess was actually a prince. The rights of emperor capital are changing, the wind rises, and Gufu in Bai Miao city in the north is good. Gu Swiding and Shen Yazi have done nothing these days, just playing with Qingbao, so as to make up for the days they were separated from Qingbao and the others when they were trapped in the reincarnation disc. The three of King Bao and King Bao are all very happy, with smiles on their little faces every day. On this day, Shen Yazi and Gu Swiding were playing Kaju, ancient football, with their three children when Xiao Xiang came to the door. It was only after he received a letter from his father that he found out that Gu Swiding was still alive. Xiao Zhenyuan wrote to Xiao Xiang to tell him about this, which was naturally not without reason. Previously, he was secretly instructed by the emperor to attack Gu Swiding, but now that the matter has been exposed, and Gu Swiding came to visit him personally, Xiao Zhenyuan has been in deep worry and panic every day, fearing that Gu Swiding will attack him one day. Especially after receiving the news from the imperial capital, the whole person was in a state of panic. The emperor would have suffered a stroke sooner or later, but he had a stroke not long after Gu Swiding learned the truth. He would never believe that Gu Swiding did not move his hands or feet here. Gu Swiding even acted at the emperor's request, and now even the prince was under house arrest. The more Xiao Zhenyuan thought about it, the more he felt that Gu Swiding was unfathomable. He also wanted to take advantage of the fact that the emperor's throne was vacant and the various forces in the imperial capital were in turmoil to stir up trouble. He is the lord of the Northern Territory. He has been working in the Northern Territory for many years. His position is stable and he has many cronies. He has also recruited a large number of capable people and strangers under his command. If he takes advantage of the situation, he may not be without the possibility of ascending to the throne. No matter how bad it is, you can muddy the water so that you can get more benefits from it. You can only fish in troubled waters. However, just as he had this thought, Gu Swiding broke into his study room again as if he was in a deserted place, and forcefully left an imprint on his consciousness. Once he had any delusional thoughts, he would know it immediately. Xiao Zhenyuan now doesn't dare to have any evil thoughts. Now his life depends entirely on Gu Swiding's thoughts. Xiao Zhenyuan was terrified when he thought about the death he committed earlier. When he thought about his third son getting close to Gu Swiding, he thought about asking him to say more nice things for him in front of Gu Swiding and play his emotional cards. Lest Gu Swiding feel unhappy when he thinks about it one day, he would take his life. Xiao Zhenyuan stated the whole story in his letter. Of course, when he said that he hired someone to assassinate Gu Swiding, He profoundly explained the embarrassment and suffering that he was unable to do himself. After all, the emperor's orders cannot be acted upon. Anyway, he is trying to prove his innocence and put the blame on the emperor who has suffered a stroke and cannot defend himself. Originally, this matter was caused by the emperor. When he wrote the letter, Xiao Zhenyuan was full of resentment towards the emperor. Xiao Xiong received the letter. Before he could finish reading the letter, the table in front of him was already smashed to pieces. He didn't expect that Gu Swiding's assassination was actually done by his father. Although he repeatedly emphasized his innocence in the letter, Xiao Xiong couldn't tell that these were just excuses. You actually want me to intercede for you? Why are you so big-faced? You're sorry, but I don't have the face. Xiao Xiong scolded his father in his heart. But no matter what, he still had to thank him. If it hadn't been for this letter, he wouldn't have known that Xiao Ting was still alive. Xiao Xiong hurriedly left the military camp and rode fast all the way. He felt the city of Beimiao in one night. The moment he saw Gu Swiding, Xiao Xiong's eyes filled with tears. He strode forward and gave him a bear hug. Good boy, you are still alive. I knew you would not be taken away by God so easily, ha ha ha. Gu Swiding patted him on the back. The two of them separated. When Xiao Xiong turned his head, he saw three carrot heads looking up at him. Faced with the ferocious and violent monster beasts, Xiao Xiong was not afraid, but facing these three soft and cute little guys, our Marshal Xiao was rarely at a loss. Shen Yizi came forward and taught Qingbao and the others to call out, "This is Uncle Xiao, your father's friend." A uniform Uncle Xiao sounded. "Hey," Xiao Xiong responded loudly and touched his body, but found that he came in too hasty and didn't bring anything that could be used as a greeting gift. He couldn't help but feel a little annoyed. Seeing his embarrassment, Shen Yizi handed the kujia to him and helped him out. "Brother Xiao, do you want to come and play with the little guys?" Xiao Xiong hurriedly responded, "Okay." Xiao Xiong is also a good kicker of kujia. When the military held kujia competitions in the past, he could kick his opponents to cry for their fathers and mothers, which shows his bravery. However, facing several little guys who were not even as high as his thighs, he did not dare to use any more strength. He was always holding back his strength for fear of accidentally hitting them. Playing football like this is much more tiring than playing football with real men in the army. After a while, Xiao Xiong broke out in sweat. As a result, his good intentions were not understood by Qingbao and others, and they in turn despised him for being too stupid and unable to pass the ball well. But overall, this kickball was quite enjoyable. After the exercise, Xiao Xiong became much closer to Qingbao. He lifted Qingbao up with one hand and played a tossing game with him. Qingbao screamed with excitement. After Qingbao finished, it was Yuanbao and Nianyan's turn. Soon Xiao Xiong completely subdued the three villains. The three of them, Qingbao and Uncle Xiao, were all around him. Uncle Xiao was older than Uncle Xiao, and Uncle Xiao was short. There was no barrier between them. Seeing the three little monkeys becoming more and more lawless, they all used Xiao Xiong as a slide to climb up and down. However, Xiao Xiong was not only not angry, but also quite indulgent. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 722. Shen Yizi had to step forward and tear them off Xiao Xiong. "Okay, Uncle Xiao and Dad still have something to talk about. Let's not disturb them, okay? Let's go, Mother will prepare something delicious for you." As soon as they heard that there was something delicious to eat, the three heartless boys immediately abandoned Xiao Xiong and followed her without looking back. Xiao Xiong watched them go away from where they were, and didn't look back until they were out of sight. Seeing Gu Swiding staring at him strangely, he subconsciously touched his face. "What's wrong? I never knew that Brother Xiao liked children so much." Gu Swiding poured him a cup of tea and passed it to him. Xiao Xiong laughed heartily. Aren't these little guys so cute? I want to take them back and raise them. Goosewitting laughed, when they are cute, it makes people feel heartache, but when they are naughty, they are really unstoppable and make them want to be beaten up. Of course, he can only say this himself. If anyone dares to say that Qingbao and the others are not good at all in front of him, he, as a father, will definitely teach that person to be a new person. After chatting for a while, Xiao Xiang calmed down and asked, Xiao Ting, what happened earlier? Goosewitting did not hide anything from him and told the whole story. Of course, there were some things that were difficult to explain, such as why the emperor had murderous intentions for him, but he simply explained them. Xiao Xiang digested it for a while, then punched his hand hard. Xiao Ting, no matter what, I will always be on your side. He looked at him with stern eyes, clearly stating his position. Goosewitting smiled and said, Brother Xiao, I have no idea about that position. It was like it was before, and it will be like that in the future. Xiao Xiang hesitated to speak. Goosewitting knew what he wanted to say and reassured him, don't worry, even if the new emperor ascends the throne, nothing will happen to me. Okay, since you said that, I won't worry about it anymore. Xiao Xiang had a very sumptuous meal here, and after the meal he played with Qingbao and the others for a long time before reluctantly leaving. Shortly after Xiao Xiang left, Goosewitting received a communication talisman from his master Luo Yao Yao. Master, I have found out the real cause of the outbreak of beasts. I am on my way back now. I asks his Hideo to prepare some of my favorite dishes and wait for you, master. Shen Yizi was right next to him, so he naturally heard it and couldn't help but laugh. Okay, master, I'll be ready to go right now, and I'll make sure you can have hot meals as soon as you come back. Shen Yizi didn't make anything too complicated. He just used a constant burning cauldron to make a pot of thick soup and ate it in a pot. Goosewitting helped her on the side, choosing vegetables and washing them, and did all the work that could be done. Shen Yizi only needed to cut them and put them on the plate. When Luo Yao Yao stepped into the door, the soup base had just been boiled and was bubbling. He could smell that delicious smell from afar. Hurry, put it on the table, I haven't had a hot meal for several days, he urged eagerly. Shen Yizi made 3 delicacy soup that nourishes the stomach and can be drank directly. She first served a bowl of soup to Luo Yao Yao and said, please drink a bowl of soup to warm yourself up first. Luo Yao Yao took a sip, and immediately his eyes narrowed due to the freshness, and he sighed in comfort. After finishing a bowl of soup, Shen Yizi and Goosewitting also put the dishes on the table. The hot pot table is set up above the brazier, so that while eating the pot, the fire is warming up, and the body is warmed both inside and outside. King Bao and the other 3 were taking a nap, and Shen Yizi didn't wake them up. She and Goosewitting had just had lunch not long ago and were not hungry, so they were responsible for preparing food for Luo Yao Yao, and he was only responsible for eating. Being served by 2 apprentices, Luo Yao Yao couldn't be more beautiful. After eating vigorously for more than 10 minutes, he finally recovered and slowed down. Shen Yizi picked up the fish with a spoon and put them into his bowl. Then he asked, Master, you said earlier that you found the cause of the outbreak of the beast tide. What is the reason? Luo Yao Yao carefully bit open the fried fish ball, sucked up the soup inside, and then swallowed the whole fish ball in one bite. I searched all the way and found that there was a valley deep in the raging snow sea. There was an ice dragon sealed in that valley. Although the ice dragon couldn't come out, people could go in. I don't know which scammer sneaked in and took the dragon egg. It was stolen. The ice dragon woke up and found that his egg had been stolen. How could he not be angry? When the ice dragon was angry, the entire raging snow sea shook, forced by the power of the dragon. Those demonic beasts that had developed intelligence ran out to help it attack us, hoping to retrieve the dragon eggs. Dragon egg. Shen Yizi and Goosewitting looked at each other, and both of them thought of the young dragon that hatched not long ago in her space. Shen Yizi summoned the young dragon out of the space. Luo Yaoyao was startled. Hey, where did this young dragon come from? Shen Yizi told the story about the pet shop owner giving her dragon eggs for free as a side dish. After speaking, she suddenly realized, then the shop owner must have known its origin for a long time and was afraid that the dragon egg would die in his own hands, so he threw this hot potato to me. If this is really the case, then the pet shop owner would be really upset. Luo Yaoyao took out a porcelain bottle and said, I fought with the ice dragon and took the opportunity to get some of its blood. If this young dragon is of his bloodline, I can test it with the destiny talisman to find out. The test results came out quickly. The young dragon in Shen Yizi's hand was indeed the bloodline of the ice dragon. So now things are very clear. The pet shop owner somehow stole the dragon egg and brought it out of the wrathful snow sea. This caused the ice dragon to become furious and show off its dragon power. It drove many monsters in the wrathful snow sea to attack human defenses and try to break down the city wall and retrieve the dragon egg. Although the tide of monster beasts has been temporarily repelled, as long as the young dragon is not sent back to the ice dragon will not give up. They discussed it and decided to set off early the next morning, with Luo Yaoyao leading the way to the valley where the ice dragon of the Nugjiu Sea was located, and return the young dragon to the ice dragon. As for whether the ice dragon will misunderstand him as an egg thief and cause a war between the two sides, we will not consider it for the time being. In short, let's send the baby dragon back to the ice dragon first. Before departure, Shen Yizi sent the 3 Qingbaos into the space as usual, and also prepared many things that could be eaten immediately. After everything was ready, the group of 3 people left the city and took a sky boat into the raging snow sea. With Luo Yaoyao guiding the way, and the Tianzhou being well concealed and fast, the 3 of them soon arrived at the valley he mentioned before. The valley is like a bowl, surrounded by ice walls on all sides, and the ground is covered with thick white snow. At a glance, it is a cold and silent world of ice and snow. The sky boat entered through the gap between the mountain walls. After flying for a while, the field of vision widened. Looking down from the air, you can see a large glacial lake lying at the bottom of the bowl, and the ice dragon is trapped in the lake by some force and cannot get out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 723. I don't know if it was because of the previous troubles that the ice dragon was somewhat weakened, so the valley is now quiet. Shen Yizi lowered the sky boat and called the baby dragon out of the space. Just as he was thinking about how to return the baby dragon to the ice dragon, an ice blue figure emerged from the lake, several meters high. It is the ice dragon. It was recuperating at the bottom of the lake, but suddenly smelled the scent of the cubs and rushed out impatiently. It is a pity that its lower body was trapped in the lake and only half of its body could come out. Even so, its huge size and beauty still deeply shocked Shen Yizi. She saw the legendary dragon with her own eyes, and it was far more powerful and beautiful than she imagined. The ice dragon locked eyes with the young dragon in Shen Yizi's hand at a glance, and with a sharp look, he rushed over. Shen Yizi lifted the baby dragon up and said, "Don't be impulsive. We are here to return the baby dragon to you." From Luo Yaoyao, she had already learned that ice dragons are intelligent, even no worse than humans. Sure enough, when she said this, the ice dragon's momentum slowed down. "Despicable human beings, please return my child quickly." King Yu's female voice exudes a cold majesty. The baby dragon that was sleeping was woken up. As soon as it opened its eyes, it saw the huge ice dragon not far away, and blinked in confusion. When the ice dragon saw it waking up, he felt excited and called emotionally, "Child." The young dragon looked at it, and then at Shen Yizi who was holding him. Cognitive barriers appeared in his little head. Which one is its mother? Is it the one that looks very similar to it, or is it the one that I liked very much when I first saw it? Shenyazi drove the sky boat slowly towards the ice dragon and sent the young dragon to it. Go, this is your mother, she said to the young dragon. The ice dragon gently took the baby dragon into its mouth. Human, get out of here before I change my mind, otherwise you can't even think of getting out. He dived into the water. The baby dragon looked back at Shenyazi with nostalgia and let out a childish cry. Shenyazi, originally, I wanted to talk to you and help you get rid of this big formation that trapped you. But now it seems that you don't want to leave here. If that's the case, then I'll leave. She made a move to turn the ship around and leave. The ice dragon plunged into the water and paused. Wait. Come back. Seeing Shenyazi turn around and look at him with a smile, Bing Long felt as if he was being teased by this human being, and exhaled a cold breath in embarrassment. Human, what did you mean by what you just said? Tianzhou was suspended in mid-air, level with the ice dragon's head. Shenyazi sat down cross-legged, with Gu Switting and Luo Yao Yao sitting behind her in a guarding posture. This formation that traps you is called the Nine Dragons Covering the Sky formation. Shenyazi told everything he knew about the Nine Dragons Covering the Sky formation. Finally he said, you alone, no, with the power of a dragon, it is impossible to break away from the formation, no matter how strong you are, because this formation is based on the entire Tianyuan continent. Unless you have the entire Tianyuan continent as the base, unless you have the power of the entire Tianyuan continent, the mainland has a countervailing force, otherwise there is no way to get rid of it. Bing Long was silent for a while. Why should I believe you? How do I know whether what you say is true or false? Shenyazi, because my father is trapped in the formation just like you. She took out the photo stone and contacted her father in front of the ice dragon. The father and daughter chatted for a while, and then Shenyazi got down to the topic and told about the encounter with the ice dragon trapped in the Nine Dragons Sky Covering formation. Dad, come and talk to the senior ice dragon. She turned the image stone towards the ice dragon. The photo stone is not as big as one eye of the ice dragon. It is like a small toy in front of it. The ice dragon simply changes into a human form. The ice dragon transformed into a human form. She was a tall beauty with a long body, snow-skinned skin, blue eyes, and long white hair. After transforming into a human form, her movement space was still limited to this icy lake. She took the photo stone over and chatted with Shenji Ungan on the other side for a while. Shenyazi did not deliberately listen to the conversation between the two big guys. Anyway, she believed that her father would convince Bing Long. Luo Yao Yao was greedy again. Zhizi, let's eat hot pot. Look at the ice and snow, wouldn't it be fun to eat hot pot around the stove? Shenyazi glanced at Bing Long and felt that one person and one dragon could still talk, so he nodded, okay, let's eat hot pot. Ingredients, soup base and vegetables are all ready, you just need to turn on the stove. Making fire should not be too simple for monks. A fireball spell will burn the charcoal. This time Shenyazi prepared the mandarin duck pot. One side is spicy and makes people salivate just by smelling it, and the other side is the tomato mushroom pot, which is light, sweet and very nourishing. As soon as the soup base was boiling, Luo Yao Yao picked up a plate of paper-thin mutton rolls and poured it in. The mutton slices cook very quickly and can be taken out and eaten almost as soon as they are put down. Dip in the spicy sauce and put the meat slices soaked in the sauce into your mouth. Making, spicy, hot and fresh. The best taste of life. The three of them were eating enthusiastically on one side. Bing Long, who was video chatting with Shenji Ungan on the other side, smelled the aroma coming over and couldn't sit still. He quickly ended the conversation and landed on the boat. She pressed the young dragon, which was howling with greed, with a reserved attitude. What are you eating? Shenyazi said, would you like to try the hot pot? He immediately took out a new pair of bowls and chopsticks and placed them on the empty side. Bing Long walked over and sat down. Shen Yizi used chopsticks to pick up a few pieces of meat for her, and then took out 2 floating meatballs and put them into her bowl. Bing Long picked up the chopsticks unskillfully, poked the meat and put it into his mouth. At that moment, the spicy taste rushed straight to Tianling Gai, making her whole body feel like it was on fire, and her whole face turned red. Shen Yizi couldn't help but pour her a glass of juice. Drink some of this quickly. Bing Long picked up the glass and drank it to the bottom before the spicy taste subsided. I'm sorry, I didn't know you can't eat spicy food. Please drink a bowl of clear soup first. Shen Yizi changed Bing Long's bowl and chopsticks and gave her a bowl of tomato and mushroom soup. This time, Bing Long did not dare to taste too much at once, but only took a small sip. The delicious taste immediately conquered her taste buds, and she drank heavily. The baby dragon grabbed her arm and crawled over, got to the edge of her bowl, stuck out his tongue and licked up the remaining soup in the bowl. The soft and cute dragon has a satisfied expression on its face. Shen Yizi saw the coke and scooped another bowl for it. Half an hour later, Shen Yizi lost his fighting ability and put down his chopsticks. She thinks she has a pretty big appetite. After all, as a monk, her digestion power is not very strong. However, compared with Luo Yao Yao and Bing Long, she is far inferior. She was full and even a little exhausted, so she could only lean on Gu Switting's arms and let him rub her belly, while Luo Yao Yao and Bing Long were still fighting tirelessly. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 724. The charcoal in the bamboo basket continued to decrease, and the soup in the pot was added 7 or 8 times. One person and one dragon still had no intention of stopping, as if they were competing to see who could finish the meal last. Shen Yizi watched with interest from the side, helping the 2 of them rinse the dishes from time to time. After resting for a while, she felt that she had some room in her stomach, so she picked up the chopsticks again and joined the battle. In this way, 3 people and 1 dragon ate intermittently until night. Eat lunch as a buffet. After eating this meal, Bing Long was no longer as cold as he was at the beginning, and his attitude towards Shen Yizi and the others had improved a lot. Sure enough, enjoying delicious food together is the easiest way to get closer. While eating and chatting, Bing Long had already realized that he had misunderstood Shen Yizi and the others at first. Her child was not stolen by them. On the contrary, Shen Yizi was the savior of her child. If it weren't for her, she would probably have really stolen her child. Has lost her child. The Dragon Clan has a clear distinction between love and hate. Now that she knew she had misunderstood, she apologized to Shen Yi directly, and with a wave of her hand, she took out a bunch of treasures she had collected as an apology gift. Shen Yizi looked at the pile of shiny treasures on the ground and accepted them happily. Bing Long took a sip of peach blossom wine and burped with a hot pot flavor. You said before that you could help me get out of the formation. Do you really have a way? Shen Yizi opened his palms, and something appeared in his palms. Bing Long's eyes narrowed. What is this? Shen Yizi, you can use the dragon seeking disc to find several other nodes of the 9 dragons covering the sky formation. Then, if you work together to break these nodes at the same time, you can break the formation and get out. There are 3 known nodes now. One is at my father's place, one is in Qingmang Mountain, and the other is here. Next, I will find the other 6 nodes. After finding them, I will gather the 9 powerful. The force is exerted at the same time, and the formation breaks down by itself. Bing Long took the dragon seeking disc and input a spiritual power according to the method mentioned by Shen Yizi. The pointer on the dragon seeking disc started to rotate rapidly, and finally pointed clearly in the direction of the ice lake. It remains the same no matter how many times I try. It seems that this dragon seeking disc can really find formation nodes. Bing Long returned the dragon seeking disc to Shen Yizi. Then it's up to you. Although I can't leave here, I can provide you with some support. She waved her hand again, and the open space on the deck was once again occupied by a bunch of jeweled treasures. There are spiritual stones, magic weapons, spiritual jades, and some unknown items inside, all of which were collected by the ice dragon before he was trapped in the formation. Shen Yizi pulled it roughly and was about to put it away when he suddenly caught a glimpse of the 10,000 vines he had been looking for. It's just that this 10,000 root vine has obviously been short of water for a long time, and it is light and weightless in her hand. However, she knows that the 10,000 root vine has a very strong vitality. As long as it is put into water, it can quickly come back to life. And thousands of vines sprouted from it. After entering the space, Shen Yizi designated a separate area, planted 10,000 vines, and watered it a lot. Sure enough, as soon as it came into contact with a sufficient water source, it became swollen and rounded at a speed visible to the naked eye, and quickly sprouted branches. In the blink of an eye, this originally dry 10,000 root vine became full of life. Countless branches stretched out from the main stem like a pineapple, and branches sprouted from the branches. A vine forest was formed. After a while, colorful flowers bloomed on the vines. Dark red, light green, light yellow, pale blue, azure, it seems like all the colors in the world are gathered on the body. The purpose of coming to the valley has been achieved. However, due to the kindness of Binglong, Shen Yizi and his party stayed here for a few more days. Finally, Shen Yizi left Binglong with a lot of prepared food, and then he was able to leave. The ice dragon stood on the lake, with the young dragon entrenched on her chest. The two dragons, one large and one small, reluctantly watched the Tianzhou go away. After leaving Nugzhihe, Shen Yizi said to Luo Yao Yao, "Master, Xueting and I want to go to Dan City. Do you want to go with us?" Luo Yao Yao naturally wanted to follow him. After all, he could only eat a steady stream of delicious food by his little apprentice's side. Then, just as he was about to agree, he received a message from his eldest disciple. "Master, you have been out for a long time. Without you guarding Mocking City, something might happen." Luo Yao Yao, "Huh, excuse me, do you dislike me disturbing your and Hizi's world?" Goose Whitting did not deny it. Luo Yao Yao, "Okay, if you want me to give up following Hizi's popular and spicy food, that's fine, but you have to compensate me. As long as you are willing to negotiate terms, it will be easy." Goose Whitting, "You said it." The master and the apprentice talked about it for a while, and finally reached an agreement. Shen Yizi saw that Luo Yao Yao was silent for a long time, so he couldn't help but stretched out his hand and waved it in front of him. "Master! Master!" Luo Yao Yao said, well, Zhizi, I suddenly remembered that I have been out here for many days. There is no teacher in Mo Ching Cheng. I'm afraid there will be trouble. For Mo Ching Cheng my safety is at stake, I must go back." He spoke with great righteousness. Not to mention Luo Yao Yao, Shen Yizi almost forgot about the mocking city he built with his own hands. After all, it was several lifetimes ago. "Well, that's fine, it's all thanks to Master. I'll cook a big meal for you when I get back." Of course, she packed a lot of extra food for him when they parted. Alchemy City is named after Dan. There are many alchemists gathered here. Alchemists that are rare to see in other places may be encountered here just walking on the street. At the same time, this is also a big city of medicinal materials, where various medicinal materials are gathered here and sold to various places. As soon as Shen Yizi and Goose Whitting stepped into the city, they felt the strong atmosphere of alchemy, and there was also a faint scent of medicine floating in the air. Shen Yizi came here to meet Yang Shengqing and personally hand over to him the medicinal materials for refining the soul cleansing pill. Because some of the herbs require freshly picked herbs that cannot be left in the soil for more than 3 minutes, she had no choice but to deliver the herbs herself. Secondly, she and Yang Shengqing have also been chatting online for a long time, and they have already established a certain friendship. Yang Shengqing has helped her a lot, and she has always wanted to find an opportunity to say thank you to him in person. That's why we took this trip to Dan City. Shen Yizi took Gu Swiding's hand and followed the address Yang Shengqing sent her to find it. In the small courtyard, Yang Shengqing was lying on a rocking chair basking in the sun. Next to him, a pot of green and fresh narcissus was in full bloom. The flowers were ice clear, white, and fragrant. He was wondering when the crystal exquisite bag would come when he heard a knock on the courtyard door. He was shocked. Here he comes. His yard was covered with a trap that ordinary people and ordinary monks could not detect, so no outsider had ever knocked on his door since he moved in. This was the first time he had been knocked on the door. It must have been Shen Yizi. What should I do if I feel a little nervous for no reason? Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 725. Yang Shengqing stood up, straightened his clothes, and after thinking about it, he changed again, performed a cleaning technique on himself, and took care of himself, and then lay down on the rocking chair again. Xiaoqing, go open the door. The narcissus in the blue and white porcelain pot transformed into a human form, still wearing a white shirt and green skirt, with a beautiful appearance. She glanced at Yang Shengqing and said, "You're too lazy to be damned." Yang Shengqing coughed lightly and said, "Xiaoqing, please don't expose my shortcomings in front of outsiders." Outside the door, Shen Yizi knocked on the door. No one came to open the door for a long time. Just when he was wondering if he had found the wrong place, the door opened, and a delicate and beautiful woman appeared from behind the door. Shen Yizi's eyes flashed with surprise. Xiaoqing glanced at the two of them, but Miss Shen. Shen Yizi nodded, "Exactly. Please come in." Xiaoqing stepped aside. When Shen Yizi stepped into the courtyard, he saw a beautiful man wearing a smoky blue gauze robe standing in the corridor, with hands in sleeves, eyes like paint, skin as clear as snow, and a strand of black and moist hair hanging down from his shoulders. Like a male immortal coming out of an ink landscape painting. His red lips parted slightly. Crystal exquisite bag. Shen Yizi spoke almost at the same time as him, Grandmaster Yang. This famous scene where netizens faced each other made both of them laugh. Gu Swiding's heart instantly sounded the alarm. He originally thought that the Grandmaster Yang's Yizi referred to was in his 70s or 80s at least, but he didn't expect that he was so young and smiled so coquettishly at Yizi in front of him. "Don't you know how to avoid suspicion?" The smell of jealousy came out of Gu Swiding's body. Yang Shengqing looked towards him and asked, "I wonder who this is." Shen Yizi introduced, "This is my husband Gu Swiding." Then he said to Gu Swiding, "Xueting, this is the Grand Master Yang Shengqing Yang I told you before. He has helped me a lot." Gu Swiding's eyes and brows showed a feeling of pride, and he leaned slightly towards the holy Qing Yang, "Master Yang." Yang Shengqing felt that this Gu Swiding seemed to be hostile to him. Why? They just met for the first time. Yang dead house social fear maternal and fetal single Shengqing, had no idea that he had been regarded as a love rival by Gu Swiding. "Stop standing here, come into the house with me." Yang Shengqing made a please gesture. Although he is afraid of society, he still knows the basic etiquette. Shen Yizi and Gu Swiding followed him into the house. The space in the main room is very open, the wooden floor is clean and shiny, and there is an 8-leaf floor-to-ceiling screen with landscapes in front of it. Turning around the screen, next to the window is a square wooden couch that is a palm above the ground, with a coffee table placed on it. 2 soft futons were placed. Yang Shengqing walked to the wooden couch and knelt down on the coffee table. Every move he made was airy and freehand, with the demeanor of a celebrity. However, the problem came. There was only a futon opposite him. Shen Yizi and Gu Swiding looked at each other and took out a futon from the space. After the host and guests sat down, Xiaoqing brought tea and snacks. This made Yang Shengqing secretly relieved and gave Xiaoqing an appreciative look. Even though Xiaoqing is usually indifferent to his master, When it comes to serious occasions, she still gives him face. Drink tea. Yang Shengqing poured a cup of tea each for Shen Yizi and Gu Suiting. He himself also took a cup and drank it slowly. The most difficult thing about social horror is not knowing how to find a topic. Just like at this moment, Yang Shengqing didn't know how to start. Ming Ming had been able to chat with Crystal Ling Longbao at the backstage of the grocery store, but once they met in person, he was overwhelmed. He can only appear to be calm, but in fact he maintains the appearance of a cold and celestial being. Xiaoqing glanced at him, walked over, sat down directly next to him, and took on the important task of entertaining the guests and livening up the atmosphere. As soon as the topic is opened, the atmosphere becomes less awkward. At the back, Shen Yizi took out food directly from the storage bag and placed a full coffee table. Looking at the food, both Yang Shengqing and Xiaoqing's eyes lit up. The three Qingbaos were mentioned for some reason, and Shen Yizi took out the photo stone and showed off the baby to them. Xiaoqing immediately moved her position, sat next to her, and sucked the baby together with her. Gu Suiting played chess with Yang Shengqing. In one afternoon, several people have become completely familiar with each other, and there is no longer the initial alienation. In the evening, Xiaoqing took Shen Yizi's arm affectionately and said, "Come on, come with me to cook." They say they were together, but in fact, Shen Yizi was the one who made the final decision, and Xiaoqing only had the role of a hand. Shen Yizi made coconut milk chicken. When she went to Yingcheng, she bought a few coconut trees and planted them in the space. Now they have already produced a lot of fruits. She picked a few and brought the sweet coconut juice inside. As a drink, the coconut meat is cut into strips and stewed with the chicken. The chicken soup stewed in this way will have the sweetness of coconut milk, is not greasy at all, and is especially delicious. She also prepared many other dishes, which can be eaten in chicken soup, just like eating hot pot. 4 people were sitting around on a wooden couch, with a hot pot in the middle. The soup was boiling and white steam was rising inside. The dishes were placed on the shelf under the couch, and they were ready to eat and grab. "Come on, don't be too busy eating, let's try this soup." Shen Yizi served himself and the other 3 people a bowl of soup each. "Well, it tastes really good," Xiaoqing praised it very straightforwardly. Shen Yizi and Gu Suiting stayed here for 3 days. During these 3 days, she asked Yang Shengqing for advice on alchemy, made delicious food with Xiaoqing, or just leaned against Gu Suiting quietly, watching Xiaoqing transform back into her original form. The branches and leaves stretch out in the warm sunshine. 3 pleasant and leisurely days passed by in a flash. On the 4th day, Yang Shengqing handed her a jade bottle, which contained the soul-cleansing pill he had refined over the past 2 days. Shen Yizi left a lot of food behind, and under Xiaoqing's reluctant eyes, he and Gu Suiting boarded the sky boat and left the city. They still have 2 important things to do. One thing is to find a way to truly remove the evil poison from Gu Suiting's body. The soul-cleansing pill can only be used as a backup option, and they will not choose it unless it is absolutely necessary. Another one is to find the remaining formation nodes of the 9 dragons covering the sky formation. The time left for them is running out. Time flies and it's the end of the year. At the end of this year, 2 major events occurred in the Tianyuan Empire. The emperor died. The new emperor ascended the throne and was renamed Yuan Xing. At that time, Shen Yizi and Gu Suiting had just found the 5th formation node. After learning the news, they marked the location of the node and rushed to the imperial capital to celebrate Gu 11's becoming the new emperor. The 2 of them did not disturb anyone when they arrived, and appeared quietly in Gu 11's palace. Gu 11 was shocked at first, but after seeing clearly that it was them, her expression turned happy. In front of the people and courtiers, Gu 11 was a young but majestic emperor. However, in front of Gu Suiting and Shen Yizi, he instantly lost his exposed demeanor and returned to his previous youthful appearance. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 726. Uncle, little Aunt Gu 11 came over, pulled Shenyazi's sleeve and started acting coquettishly. Little Aunt, you don't know how terrible the food cooked by the royal chef in this palace is. I have been starving and thin these days. Oh, look, his face has become smaller. He poked his face in front of Shenyazi. Gu Switting glanced at him sideways, with cold eyes. Gu 11 hid behind Shenyazi. Little Aunt, look, my uncle is actually staring at me. Shenyazi clapped his hand in a funny way. What do you want to eat? I'll cook it for you. Gu 11 was so excited that she opened her mouth to tell the name of the dish that she had been chanting in her heart for a long time, but she was cut off by Gu Switting. It's not good to eat too much at night. I know, give him the remaining fish fillet porridge in the morning, just serve a bowl. Of course, in the end, Shenyazi not only brought out fish fillet porridge, but also various snacks, such as sumai, steamed dumplings, xiaolongbao, etc., and placed a full table. Gu 11 sat at the table, happily taking a bite of steamed buns and a bite of porridge. Shenyazi and Gu Switting did not stay in the palace for too long. They stayed for one night and said goodbye the next day. Gu 11 is very reluctant to give up. Gu Switting directly took him to the martial arts arena and beat him up. What are you doing, little girl? It's not like we'll never come back once we're gone. If anything happens, just use the photo stone to contact us. He threw a new photo stone over, caught it preciously, and immediately imprinted it with his own divine consciousness. Shenyazi took out the iron-eating beast cub raised in the space and stuffed it into his arms. Let this gun stay with you. If you feel unhappy, just hold it and pet it. Absolutely, it's very relaxing. The iron-eating beast has been raised in the space until its hair is shiny, with black hair like black strips and white hair like snow-colored clouds. It is a small ball but feels heavy when held in the arms. After listening to Shenyazi's words, Gu 11 subconsciously touched the cub. Hey, don't tell me, it feels really good. The more you touch it, the more addictive it becomes, and you simply can't stop. Shenyazi gave him some tips on raising iron-eating beasts, and then left with Gu Switting. Gu 11 hugged Gun and watched as the sky boat rushed into the sky and turned into a stream of light before disappearing in front of her eyes. He shook the fur ball in his arms and said, "Look at how fat you are, let's just call you Fatty." Since the incompetent star person was named, he cherishes this way. The cub was holding a piece of iron and chewing it, not caring at all about it. 6 months later, Shenyazi accidentally obtained the 10th artifact, the Uehua cup, while searching for nodes. On a moonlit night, put this cup outside. When the moonlight falls into the cup, it will be converted into liquid. Although the liquid moon essence cannot directly act on the human body like spiritual liquid and is used for cultivation, there are many benefits after drinking it. For example, purifying the body, increasing aura affinity, etc. At this point, Shenyazi finally collected 10 artifacts and completed the second mission of the God Emperor Pearl before the end of the mission time. In this year, she finally convinced Tianzhou to recognize her as her master. Contracting 10 artifacts at the same time, let alone the Tianyuan world where spiritual energy is imprisoned, is also an appalling and unbelievable thing in the Qingyuan world or even a higher level world, right? However, Shenyazi just did it. On the one hand, it is because she has super strong luck, and on the other hand, it is because Tianyuan world itself is of a high level. It used to be a fascinating world with rich spiritual energy, many powerful powers, and naturally there were many artifacts. It was just because the 9 dragons covering the sky formation was set up in the whole world later that the whole world fell, and even the artifacts were hidden in unknown corners. Now Shenyazi just finds them again. On the silent mountain top, Shenyazi and Goose Whitting sat next to each other, with the ethereal and clear starry sky above their heads. The two of them admired it quietly. Even if they didn't do anything or say anything, there was still a tenderness flowing between them. On the desk next to it, the moonlight cup is placed on it, with a thin layer of pale silvery moonlight already accumulated in it. At midnight, Shenyazi took Goose Whitting into the space. Goose Whitting went to check the bed, to see if King Bao and the other three were sleeping well, or if the quilts were kicked off. Shenyazi summoned Kinkayu and opened the book. The above task of collecting 10 artifacts within 1 year shows that it has been completed. She can turn over a new page. The new page displays a sentence: "Are you willing to face the truth?" Shenyazi. She gave Kinkayu a sideways look: "Are you planning to take the chicken soup route?" Kinkayu coughed lightly: "You just need to click to select yes or no." Of course Shenyazi chose yes. Is she the kind of person who is afraid of facing the truth? At this time, she didn't even realize the consequences of her choice. Kinkayu sighed softly: "Okay, since this is your choice, then go ahead." Shenyazi felt a gentle push, and his whole body was pushed into the extremely tall door in the center of the space. It is still the crystal clear sea like jelly, with golden platforms standing on the sea. On the golden platform are the prototypes of the artifacts she collected. Shenyazi stepped on the golden platforms and arrived at the end of the sea. There is also a door at the end, emitting a faint golden halo. Could it be that the truth mentioned in the brochure is hidden behind this door? It's so godly. Shenyazi fearlessly pushed open the door. A burst of golden light came out of the door, and she stepped into the golden light. This is an empty space, with a vast and deep starry sky overhead, densely packed with endless mystery. Directly in front of her, there was a cloud-like thing floating, but there was nothing else here. Looking at the cloud, a strong sense of familiarity came to my heart, and at the same time, a scene flashed through my mind. In the picture, she took this cloud out of her mind, and then walked out step by step. Shenyazi suddenly realized something and couldn't help but take 2 steps back. Facing the truth. She couldn't help but think of her choice not long ago. She was fearless before, but now she is afraid, too scared to face it. Then finally, she stepped forward and reached out to touch the cloud. She wanted to see what this reality was and whether she could bear it. The moment her hand touched it, the cloud turned into a colorful ribbon, circled around her twice, and then disappeared into her head. In an instant, Shenyazi felt a large wave of information rushing into the sea of consciousness. I don't know if it was an hour, 2 hours, or longer. Shenyazi slowly opened her eyes. Her eyes were very complicated. It turns out that reality is actually like this. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 727. If only I had known. Shenyazi laughed at herself. She had planned all of this from the beginning. No matter how hard she tried to escape, this truth would still be brought to her. Mirror, ha ha ha, damn, she is actually a mirror. To be precise, it is the reincarnation state of the God Emperor. The meaning of existence is to suppress the inner demons that he separated from his own body. This inner demon was born from his desire. In order to stabilize his godhead and not give the inner demon an opportunity, he removed the inner demon from his body and suppressed it in the realm of reincarnation, trying to use its power of reincarnation. Wash away the inner demons. During this long process, the realm of reincarnation gave birth to spiritual wisdom, which is her. One day, she suddenly felt bored, so she created a whole world for herself, played house in this world, and let the people she created play with her. Be it people, monsters, insects, mountains, rivers, seas, history, and humanity, these are all carefully designed by her. Just like creating a large-scale game, every aspect is set. She even designed multiple sets of characters for herself. As someone who has followed the God Emperor for countless thousands of years in the realm of reincarnation, she has seen too many people and things. After she was born with spiritual intelligence, these past experiences turned into her memory and became her experience. But she soon got tired of this kind of game and felt that the experience was not enough. Just like playing chess with herself, she already knew the next move and had no suspense about it, so naturally she couldn't get any pleasure out of it. Bewitched by her inner demons, she sealed up her memory. She handed this memory to the God Emperor Pearl, the second seal used by the God Emperor to suppress the inner demons. Its function is to continuously refine the inner demons, absorb the purified spiritual power, and strengthen the body. After that, she plunged into reincarnation. As everyone knows, as early as this moment, she has already stepped into the trap carefully laid by the inner demon. The inner demon was also thrown into reincarnation. In order not to be recognized by her, he also sealed his memory, became a fetus again, and took advantage of the loopholes in the rules of this world. She, the supervisor, ran away, and the only one who could monitor the inner demon was the God Emperor Pearl. Seeing that her entanglement with her inner demons was getting deeper and deeper, and she even had a child, Shen Huangji couldn't sit still. He first created a pirated reincarnation realm and threw her and her inner demons into it, trying to warn her. But after she came out, she was still immersed in the role-playing game, and stepped into the trap set by her inner demon step by step to destroy the 9 dragons covering the sky formation. In fact, there is no so-called formation at all. Those formation nodes are actually checkpoints to suppress the inner demons. Once destroyed, the inner demons can directly escape from the realm of reincarnation. The inner demon is leading her to self-destruction step by step. So God Emperor Pearl could only use his trump card to let her regain her memory and wake up. Shen Yizi is indeed awake enough now, and there will never be a moment when he is more awake than now. Qin Kai floated over cautiously, "Are you okay?" Shen Yizi glanced at it with a noble and cold look, "What can happen to me? Have you enjoyed watching the theater these years? When she originally designed this world, this guy gave her a lot of advice." Qin Kai smiled. "Well, what are you going to do with that person now? He dares to deceive your feelings, it's really abominable. Although the inner demon is not tolerated by the God Emperor, it is at least separated from the God Emperor's body. Whether it is appearance, strength, or temperament, likes and dislikes, they are no different from the God Emperor. It can be said that the inner demon is the other half of the God Emperor, the evil and lustful half. As a bead created by the God Emperor, Qin Kai naturally has a fear of the inner demon, otherwise he would not have been so cowardly before and only dared to remind her in a roundabout way. So when talking about him, Qin Kai didn't even dare to call the inner demon by his name, and even lowered his voice subconsciously, for fear of being noticed by the inner demon. It seemed to be fighting for her, but it was just a bluff. Shen Yizi had already seen through this bead. After all, she has been with it for countless thousands of years. It's just a dream. It's too serious to say that feelings are too serious. Now that I've woken up from the dream, feelings, and so on. Shen Yi knew that before he finished speaking, his face suddenly changed, and his body suddenly disappeared from the place and appeared in the space. Under the scorching peach blossom tree, Gu Switting played with Qingbao. Originally, this was a warm and beautiful picture, but the moment Shen Yizi saw Gu Switting, his heartbeat stopped. His face is still the same, but the person is no longer the same person. Just as her memory returned, she was no longer the original Shen Yizi. Xianting. Xianting raised his eyes and smiled at her, his smile full of affection, but Shen Yizi knew that it was just his illusion. As early as the time he was born from the body of the God Emperor, he had a complete mind, just like another personality of the God Emperor. In order to increase his strength, he did not hesitate to feed on the extreme evil and desire in this world. In the end, even the God Emperor himself could not control it, so he had to risk losing half of his strength and reluctantly peeled it out of his body and suppressed it in her body. In the realm of reincarnation, he is a collection of all kinds of evil thoughts, he has no moral concepts, and he can do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. Will such a being still have feelings for her after returning to his original body? Give me your treasure back. Shen Yizi stretched out his hand. Xianting picked up Qingbao and held him close to his face, like a real father, with a doting expression. Let's go to mother's place. Shen Yizi almost grabbed Qingbao in his arms. Although she had acted indifferently in front of Qincai before, only she knew how deeply the experience of this life had left a deep imprint on her heart. Mom, what's wrong with you? Qingbao noticed her uneasiness, and circled her neck and looked at her with concern. Did Dad bully you? Qingbao will help you beat him. Qingbao punched Xianting with his small fist. When facing his father and mother at the same time, he sided with his mother without hesitation. Shen Yizi was amused by his heart-warming gesture and kissed him loudly on the cheek. Mom, I'm fine. I just had a nightmare and was a little scared. Qingbao patted her shoulder and back like a little man. Don't be afraid, Mom, Qingbao and Daddy are with you. Shen Yizi buried his head on Qingbao's young shoulder. Xianting stood there and looked at the mother and son quietly. Mother, I'm hungry and want to eat beef noodles, Qingbao said. Okay, mother, I'll cook it for you right now. Shen Yizi put Qingbao down and led him to the kitchen. After dinner, Qingbao, Yuanbao, and Nian went to play again without any worries. There are still many places in space that they have not explored, and any place can become their paradise. Shen Yizi watched them disappear from his sight, and the smile on his face slowly disappeared. Adorable baby, the miracle doctor is so awesome. Author, 955. Chapter 728. Xianting leaned on the couch and looked at her for a moment. Zizi, I think we need to talk. Shen Yizi's expression was calm and his voice was cold. What are you talking about? Talk about when you'll let me out. Shen Yizi sneered, do you think it's possible? Xianting came over, hugged her from behind, and took her into his arms. His voice was as gentle as ever. Don't you know you can't bear to leave me? He kissed the side of her face, and his warm breath fell on her face. This is not bad. Our family of three can continue to live together happily like this and never be separated. Shen Yizi pushed him away suddenly and disappeared from him in an instant. Xianting looked at the empty embrace and lowered his eyes with an unpredictable expression. In the inner space of the God Emperor Pearl, Shen Yizi was sitting against the wall with a gloomy expression. Qincai came over and said, you are not really bewitched by the inner demon and want to let him out, are you? Let me tell you, this is absolutely impossible. Once the demon is released, the entire three realms will be in turmoil. Why doesn't Shen Yizi understand this? She just felt bad when she thought that she would be forced to stay with Xianting in the future. In the past, the relationship between her and Xianting was simply that of prisoner and cell leader. But now that she, the prison boss, has gotten involved with the prisoners and has given birth to a child, how can she still be as calm as before? She has been led astray by him. There will never be the same thing again. Suddenly, the entire space began to tremble, and Shen Yizi was shocked. What's going on? She had a thought, and it turned out that the person was still in the inner space and did not appear outside. Qincai ran away with a guilty conscience. I'll go out and take a look. Shen Yizi watched it disappear in front of her in disbelief. She was stunned for a while before she realized that the divine Emperor Pearl was instigated by Xianting to rebel. For a moment, she didn't know what expression to put on. If their master, the Emperor, knew about it, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood, right? Oh no, after stripping the inner demon out of his body, he no longer had any emotions or desires. His entire existence was ruthless and desireless, comparable to the way of heaven. Xianting is really capable. He broke through his first line defense emotionally, and he also used some method to defeat the second line defense of the God Emperor Pearl. Unfortunately, Xianting cannot go out without her permission. After all, this entire prison is actually within her body. It is like she locks a person in her own house. The whole house is under her control. Unless he gets the key, otherwise. Speaking of the key, Shen Yizi's expression changed. Could it be? She slapped the wall hard. Xianting, you bastard. If you dare to touch Qingbao, I will die with you. Qingbao is her bloodline, and the reincarnation realm is undefended against him. He is equivalent to a bug-like existence in the entire defense system. If Xianting uses Qingbao, it is possible to break through the defense and get out of the reincarnation realm. Damn it! Spirit World. The Palace of the Gods. The God Emperor Xueting sat behind a jade table with his arm rested on one hand and closed his eyes to meditate. Behind him stood a large oval mirror half as tall as a person, which was the realm of reincarnation. Suddenly, circles of water like ripples appeared on the originally calm mirror surface. In the center of the water pattern, a bit of ink spreads out, gradually occupying the entire mirror surface. The God Emperor seemed to feel something, his eyelashes trembled slightly, and the moment he opened his eyes, a dark figure rushed out of the mirror and appeared in the air. It is Xianting. His ankle-length hair is draped behind his back. A black robe with a flowing texture wraps his slender and strong figure. His chest is open, revealing his collarbone. A pair of eyes glowed with a faint, eerie red light, and the skin was extremely white, glowing with coldness. Although his facial features are exactly the same as those of the God Emperor, his temperament and aura are completely different from those of the God Emperor. When the two of them stand together, there will be no mistaking them. Long time no see, Lord God Emperor Xuanting's tone sounded like he was greeting an old friend. The God Emperor has a cold and ethereal temperament. Although people are sitting there, they feel as if they are in the mountains and flowing clouds, with a feeling of being untouchable and unattainable. Regarding Xianting's escape from the realm of reincarnation, his expression remained unchanged, as if he had expected it. However, in fact, he had just cultivated his mind to a state where he would not be affected by external objects. Let alone Xianting escaping, even if the three realms were destroyed in front of him, he probably wouldn't even blink an eye. His current state is extremely consistent with the way of heaven. The life and death of all living beings in the world no longer stirs up the slightest disturbance in his heart. Of course, in order to protect the balance of the world, he has the duty to completely kill the inner demon that was born in his own body. The battle between gods and demons only takes place in one thought. Xianting turned into a black dot and submerged into Xueting's sea of consciousness. One and one demon stood opposite each other. In the sea of consciousness, the wind is surging, the thunder is bursting, and the scene is terrifying. However, there is no clue from the appearance of the God Emperor that an earth-shattering fierce battle is taking place in his sea of consciousness. One thought lasts only a short time, but for beings with the level of strength of the God Emperor and the inner demon, one thought is enough to change the world, enough to change the clouds and rain, enough to change the sun and the moon, enough to determine the winner. The God Emperor's eyes opened again. However, this time, there was a red light in his eyes that gradually faded away. In his originally cold and peaceful temperament, there was a hint of evil and demonic nature. The God Emperor has not dissipated, and the inner demons have not been completely eliminated. The two of them have completely merged. There is me in you, you in me, divinity and demonic nature are intertwined. However, at this moment, there was a gentle shattering sound from the mirror behind him. He suddenly turned around and saw the mirror shattered into a spider web. His pupils shrank, and boundless panic spread in his heart. Zhizzy, he stretched out his hand to stop the mirror from shattering, but quickly retracted his hand, and instead frantically pumped out the fairy energy in his body, trying to bridge the cracks, but to no avail. In the end, he could only watch the mirror shatter into pieces in front of him. He felt that his heart was shattered into thousands of pieces along with the mirror. However, what made him even more helpless was that the broken lenses did not fall to the ground, but turned into points of light and disappeared into the endless void. He stretched out his hand to grab it, but found nothing. In the end, only an empty and bare mirror frame was left in place, and the entire realm of reincarnation disappeared completely in front of him. The God Emperor knelt on the ground with his head lowered. For a long time, he laughed softly twice and murmured softly, "Zhizi, do you think you can escape my control? I will get you back piece by piece. When the time comes." He did not say the next words, and disappeared from the spot in an instant, chasing one of the fragments. At this time, the God Emperor Pearl dared to sneak up. "Whoa, I was really scared to death just now. I thought my life was at risk." Fortunately, the owner of the 2-1 couldn't care less about it at the moment. However, before it could completely relax, a strong force came from the void and swept it away. "Kinkaiu, if you can't find Zhizi, I will break you into pieces." "No, master, I can smell the mistress's breath, I will take you to find her."